watching it again tonight?
Well, I guess I was wondering, we didn't talk about the dual aspect to this, you didn't touch on it earlier. But, it feels like, for me, a lot of issues around the gender aspect, or the trans aspect, came up tonight more so for me.
Well, I'm so glad everyone clapped at the end of it, because it really is a great film, isn't it? It's really, really very tight filmmaking, it kind of rolls along pretty quickly. When we watched the film, the first thing I said to Michelle was, how is your reaction now, having seen it, because she saw it in the cinema the first time, having seen it in the cinema back when it came out, and also seeing it now, I mean, how do you feel? What are your opinions?
Well, thinking about the two aspects, about the political issues in Ireland and how that's changed, and all the issues around gender and trans issues, the political issues that changed hugely as well. So I kind of, also in this film, there's a lot of issues around love and need and wanting to be with someone.
I think what struck me is that when the film came out, and to kind of be blunt about it, it kind of hinged on the twist. And the twist was that Dill is a man. That was the twist. And I was thinking, the way we look at it now, actually, we've kind of come to a point where we don't actually say that, and it's not really a twist, because the thing is, in many ways, Dill doesn't change at all, because she remains the constant character, okay? And that, while the way people would have watched it the first time, and the way they would have spoken about it, has changed, because we now have this kind of discourse in which we identify aspects of trans identity. And I said to you, Michelle, that I said, oh, because now we'd say she's a trans woman, or maybe we'd say she's just trans, or whatever she wants to call herself, really.
Yeah, I think the language around trans has changed as well in those 24 years.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, I think she was seeing there was this quietness of don't talk about the issue of Dell, and yet, especially with the constant one, she didn't change anymore.
And there was kind of a trope in cinema at this time. We saw a lot of it in the screening of The Celluloid Closet, in which gay or bisexual or trans characters or whatever were like tragic. And the thing at the end of the film, Dill is not a tragic character. She's not the tragic trans character. She's the one who, her life will continue, and everybody else has changed. Whereas in much of cinema at the time, queer characters were viewed as like dangerous or other, or they were always going to get their comeuppance in the end. But it didn't really happen in this one.
I think it might be really interesting to hear what you all thought really as well.
Yeah, it's open up.
Let's do that. And if anyone would like a microphone to speak with, then I have one in my hand, and for you, I'm going to come straight over to you. There you go, Charlie.
Hello. I just wanted to say that I watched this movie originally when it first came out. I'm actually from when the signpost came up. My mum and dad lived in Newry. I don't know if anyone realised that. It said Newry. So I'm a gay hairdresser, not trans, but I've dressed up a few times. and also, like in one of the scenes when they went into the bar, one of our actual friends, Sharda, who's now dead, was in it. So there's so many things for me. I'd like to come up here tonight and see it. Being gay, being a hairdresser, having trans friends, and it's just so many different things about being Irish, growing up in Ireland in the 70s, and we even had a cottage in over the border, very similar to the scenes and that. So all of it was really familiar to me. But I just wanted to sort of share that with everyone, and that we all get different things from it. All our friends are getting different stuff from it. I just wanted to sort of say it. But thank you.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, I think what we realised having seen it was it's actually much more progressive than I thought it would be. I was kind of worried that after screening this, I'd be like, maybe it wasn't what I thought it was, or maybe it wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. But there's one line that we talked about on Monday at the end of it, towards the end, where Fergus says to Col, he says, but she's not a girl, Col. and he says, whatever you say, you know? And he's basically saying, you can think whatever you want, you know? And that the people in the bar kind of represent this like community of people where he is the outsider, they're the perfectly normal people. And it's only after, you know, when he goes home with Dill, he walks back into the bar, and all of a sudden it's like we're seeing through his eyes. This is obviously like a queer bar, and he's finally opening his eyes to it. He kind of just realizes this is happening.
Yeah, and what came up for me when you were speaking then is Jodie, when he showed the photo to Fergus, that he didn't speak about Del being trans. He didn't, whether that was an issue for him or not, but he was making it clear that this person wouldn't be suitable for Fergus. Well, he didn't really know that. But that's, you know, there is a quietness, sometimes an ashamedness about guys who are attracted to trans people. And that was true then, and it's true now. So there can be a lot of stigma against guys who are attracted to people within our community.
Did you identify with much of this film?
At various points. I know that some of the guys, like the Essex guy, when I was much younger, I was attracted to guys like that, and part of me still is. But I was very attracted to guys like that, and that's the kind of guys that I would be with. I don't so much now. Yeah. So I can identify with that, and I can then find the changing politics around trans identity and community issues.
Did you think there was more of a kind of a sense of a kind of a community aspect in the metro, in the bar?
You wouldn't have seen that. Really.
Was it really? That was just basically a scene.
Yeah. And I knew some of the people in that bar, seeing some of the people that I used to hang out with in those days.
You were almost an extra in this, weren't you?
Oh yeah, no, I didn't go into it, but yeah.
But they filmed it. Well, it actually wasn't a bar at all. You said
no,
it was
inside. That was in a hangar.
Lots of people. I'll come for you first. Keep waving your hands at me. I'll get the mic passed around.
Yes, it'll be brief. What I wanted to say is that, I was so happy she didn't die, because I thought through the course of the way through that, because I'd never seen it before, I thought she was going to die, and I was so pleased that she didn't. The second thing was the bit which I didn't immediately understand was when he's trying to save her life by cutting her hair, but she just... Sorry? Yeah, I didn't understand that, why she let him cut her hair so willingly.
Well, because she'd do anything for him, really,
yeah.
and that was that need from her to want to belong with someone.
It's about love, isn't it? It's about she
Yeah, I know.
If you're part of that trans community and you've met somebody, you will basically let them do anything because you want to feel loved.
Absolutely.
So when you look at, there's another, I mean, in my experience, every other trans film I've seen involves serial killers, blah, 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 blah. But that's because of love. You know, these people feel sort of an immense attraction to love, so you will do anything to keep that. So if it means by cutting off your hair, not having the op, you know, it could go on and on and on, but that's what it boils down to, love. So it's about acceptance and love. Not in a... But if you've been through your whole life... You don't let them cut your hair, or... But different experiences for different... If you've like grown up with nothing but bullying and... I'd like to say enough word, but I can't, but anyway. So, you know, downtrodden as well. I'm not going to swear.
Don't accept it. No, we shouldn't accept it ever.
No, we shouldn't, but... Yeah, it's love, isn't it? If you've grown up in an environment where you've been constantly bullied, if somebody
You shouldn't ever be bullied.
I know, but... Shut up. So that's, you know, and there's different generations as well.
Yeah.
You know, different, I mean, the trans generation now isn't the same as when I was a kid, or, you know, when you was a kid. No, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I find London 25 years ago was totally different to London now. You know, the places you would hang out with would be Soho, Madame Jojo, you know, Heaven in the old days and stuff like that, which when I looked at the Metro thing on there, I thought of Madame Jojo, I thought that's what they were trying to sort of like impersonate to a degree.
Yeah, and bar.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. Thank you.
I'm going to pass the mic along the row here. So,
I've never seen the film before, and I'm very glad to have caught it now. I thought it was an absolutely wonderful film. One thing that struck me about it is part of its richness is, I think, the way you see Fergus's character in a new light after he discovers that Dill is a man, and after he discovers that he does actually still have feelings for him. So you think back to his relationship with Jodie in a different way, and you think, well, what was going on there? And you think about the scene where he has to help him pee, and I think it's very rich and clever the way Cohen does that.
Yeah.
He's clearly not, well, he doesn't know what his own feelings are, and they're probably evolving.
We spoke about that relationship with Jodie, and you know how they started to relate, and there was a relationship forming there. And just to say, although Dell might have a penis, she didn't identify as a man. I think that's really important that people are aware here. But you know,
if I can just touch on that comment. When we watched it, I was so focused on the Dill-Fergus relationship, I thought I was looking for other aspects that were going on. And it's funny because if the character that seemed kind of most secure in themselves is actually, it seems to be Jodie, doesn't it? That he you know, he jokes about having to, you know, Fergus take his dick out for a pee, and he's just so casual about it, and he knows that this is a big deal for Fergus, and that, you know, he kind of just makes these kind of comments because it seems that he, knowing exactly what his relationship to Dill is a character with a kind of an open or broader spectrum about what sexuality could be. And it's only those few hints that we get that actually indicate that, but they're enough.
Thank you. So, well, following on what has just been said, and I suppose the reason why Fergus wanted Dill to dress up in the clothes of Jodie was because, I mean, I didn't quite capture that, the motivation. I mean, was that he was attracted to Jodie, but therefore he wanted Dill to dress up in that big kind of white.
He was putting him in disguise.
That was the only male clothes.
can we get a marker over there somewhere?
Go for it.
Here it comes.
I was just thinking they were the only male clothes available.
Yeah.
But,
It could be as simple as that.
Yeah, I think so.
but there's always a twist, too.
My friend's saying I should say that I was in Boy George's video for the crying game.
Who else? There were some more people down the front. Yes.
The gentleman in the front row.
The gentleman in the front row.
One of the things we haven't talked about is race in the film, which I haven't seen it since I was very young. And I was really struck by the movie as a post-colonial film in the sense that Jodie is, I assume, an Afro-Caribbean immigrant. And when Jude calls Dill the wee black chick, and then here we have this other colonized group, the Northern Irish, who are engaged in this revolutionary struggle against the British. And I just think it's so politically complex. Like it's not just a film about gender and queerness and trans, but it's also a film about a lot of forms of oppression. Yeah. And the parable of the toad and the scorpion is essentially a parable about groups it's about a parable about groups helping each other and not helping each other, and that the joke of it is it's in our nature to backstab one another. And so in a way, it's this, I kept noticing the visual motif of seeing through cloth, so that, Sean, you said Fergus sees the bar in a new way when he comes back after Dill has shown herself, her gender. And also, Jodie is unmasked and masked again, and the curtain is used in a way. So the three of them see one another as human beings, I think, at different points throughout the movie, past the national ideologies and the kind of superstructure of hate and oppression that comes from colonialism, I think, is another really important theme. And to me, that's so powerful in a queer film, because it's not just saying the queer story is like ghettoized, but it's connecting it to history and to these broader struggles. And I really don't think you see that in a lot of filmmaking that addresses queer issues today in such a complex way. I was really struck by that this time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to respond to that, except to say that I think what really happens at the end to Fergus is that he realises that he's actually not different from Dill at all, really, and that he wasn't different from Jodie, and that they're kind of conditioned to view each other differently, when in fact they share much more in common than meets the eye.